In this video series, we are going to answer the question, what if Germany won the Second World War? To answer that question, we're going to use a really awesome war strategy game called Hearts of Iron 4 that I've been playing for many years now through Hearts of Iron 3 and now to the recent title Hearts of Iron 4, where we will relive the years between 1936 through to 1945 and perhaps beyond, with the goal of attaining a complete and utter victory by the Axis led by Germany. Before we get into the individual details, I just wanted to give you guys and girls an overview of the videos that I plan to make in this 10-part series. The first video that you're watching now will introduce the grand strategy that I will be deploying to take Germany all the way through to victory. In the second video, I'll be covering the 1936 year and what to do in Hearts of Iron and the outcome of those decisions to make sure that we're doing the right thing and setting Germany up the right way. I'll do so again in the third video in 1937 and the fourth video in 1938. The fifth video in 1939 will be on the invasion of Poland, sixth on the Battle of France, followed by the Battle of Britain. The grand centerpiece of any German strategy for Hearts of Iron is Operation Barbarossa. I'll be dedicating a whole video to that, maybe even two, depending on how long it goes. Finally, I'm going to follow through with a continental invasion of the United States. At that stage, with all of those superpowers defeated, it really just will be a matter of cleaning up the Allies to instill a new world order of Germany in circa 1945 if everything goes to plan. Let's talk about the grand strategy. Now, one thing that was deeply lacking in the overall German war effort, many things were lacking, but one of the biggest things was a clear grand strategy. What happens once Germany defeats France? Do they try to defeat the British? Do they go after the Russians? What about North Africa? Although there was many limited short-term strategies in the war, Germany lacked a grand long-term vision. History is a beautiful thing. It gives us hindsights of what not to do. And in this case, I've taken the liberty to create a grand strategy plan using Google Maps, breaking down each major war goal all the way through to the capitulation of the United States. So, although we're using a modern 2016 map here to lay out Europe, we'll have to use our imagination and pull it back to the year 1936. Our very first goal to achieve in the German campaign will be to ensure a nationalist victory is won during the Spanish Civil War, which is due to set off in 1936. With victory secured in Spain, that will allow us to buy many, well, I wouldn't say many, but a decent amount of Spanish reinforcements that we can use for the upcoming campaigns, particularly against Russia. In 1937, the immediate goal will be to achieve an annexation of Austria and Czechoslovakia. By winning this territory, what we'll be able to do is, I wouldn't say greatly, but decently increase Germany's production efficiency and also access to resources to fuel the war machine and produce many much-needed troops and equipment for the upcoming land war. In 1939, our goal will be to invade and defeat Poland as fast as possible using blitzkrieg, should I say, maneuvers. After the defeat of Poland, we will immediately shift our forces to the west, where we will drive through Luxembourg, through the Ardennes, through Belgium, and then conducting a sickle cut or a flanking maneuver behind the Maginot Line and driving deep into Paris, just as had played out during the Second World War. So 1940 is going to be a big year. We want Luxembourg defeated, Belgium, Netherlands, and also France out of the war. Come 1940 as well, or 1940-41, we'll be able to, now with our forces freed up in the Western Theatre, conduct a simultaneous operation between the invasion of Denmark and also Norway, and also the invasion of Britain and Ireland. The ill-fated Operation Sea Lion never got off the ground due to many reasons. One being a lack of transport craft, should I say. Two being a severe lack in, I wouldn't say a severe lack, but no real clear goal as to what to do next. The Germans did not believe they could defeat France so quickly, yet they had no war plan in place to then take out arguably the next biggest threat to Germany, the United Kingdom, putting aside the USSR. We're not going to make that same mistake. We're going to go and knock out the United Kingdom and Ireland in 1941 and make no jokes about it. The benefit of acquiring Norway is somewhat debatable. Norway has access to a decent amount of resources. I wouldn't say a lot, but a decent amount. More so, the advantages I see of taking out Norway is it stops Norway from going to the Allies later in the war when your troops are busy fighting the USSR or maybe even the United States. It's one less thing to worry about. Depending on how we go, we might also be able to stage some troops to move south into the Arctic Circle of Russia, but we will see how the war unfolds. With 1941 still in play, our also immediate war goal for that year is to secure the Northern African theatre. So famously fought by Erwin Rommel during many years, which ultimately led to the retreat of the German Afrika Corps out of Africa. Our goal is to, as quickly as possible, without stopping, drive the forces all the way through to securing Cairo and securing the Suez Canal. At that stage, we will then make a decision whether we'll decide to push north through the Middle East or south towards South Africa. The most important and arguably the biggest piece to the German strategy is that we defeat the grand and mighty USSR. It's critical that we go to war with the USSR no later than 1941. If we leave it any longer, what happens is the USSR industrial efficiency and their simple, oops, I think I'm just losing the map here. 1 second while it reloads. But as I was saying, the reason why we have to go to war with the USSR no later than 1941 is if we leave it any later, the industrial capacity, the production output, and the sheer amount of, in not only size, but arguably quality and quantity, particularly with the Soviet armor, it makes it a very hard-fought battle to win a quick victory in the Eastern Theater. So, what we will be doing is pushing the Russians all the way back to the Urals. The famous AA line, I believe it was called, which goes all the way up from, I'm not even trying to pronounce it, Archangelus, something like that, right down to the Caucasus. If we're able to achieve this, ideally by 1943, if not sooner, then the USSR will capitulate, and therefore our largest adversary in continental Europe will be out of the war. Without resting from our defeat, or from our victory, should I say, of the USSR, we will be maneuvering our forces straight over to the continental United States theater. Our overall objective here will be a two-pronged invasion. Moving up through South America, our goal will be to acquire a bridgehead somewhere in South America, ideally through the states that we are able to acquire off the French and British down here after we have defeated them. To move the forces as far up the peninsula as possible through Mexico to border the United States. The second front will open from Nova Scotia or maybe even British Columbia, depending on how the war unfolds, where we'll move down the east coast and simultaneously up through the south with the Grand Pincer Maneuver. With the defeat of the United States, that is the last superpower left in the game and left in the world. At this stage, it will simply be one grand global scale of mopping up the rest of the Allies. Canada, Australia, and British India will be the three largest players left. With them gone, then that is total world domination by Nazi Germany and the Axis. So, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's get stuck into the series. You can find a link to this map in this video's description. Feel free to play around with it, turn the layers on and off, and see the goals and the times that I've put down on each goal. It will be particularly helpful for you if you're a Hearts of Iron 4 player like myself. Finally, if you find this video useful and you're interested to see what happens, please do subscribe. I'll be turning this into a playlist once all videos are created for ease of use, so please feel free to chuck a subscribe, like, and feel free to leave me a comment. Always appreciated. All right, that's the end to this stream, ladies and gentlemen. Looking forward to launching part 2, Germany in 1936. Thank you.